13 years ago, I uploaded my first YouTube video to this channel.
Hey guys, this is ChubbierSnail, bringing the first ever installment of my personal top 5 Halo Reach kills.
That video got 10 million views, I was instantly famous, and I lived happily ever after. The end. Bro, what kind of Microsoft PowerPoint editing software was this? But being serious, that video only got 4 views. Terrible! But that video marked the start of something beautiful. A journey where I transformed from a complete nobody into a YouTuber with a community so large that we were added to one of the most popular VR games of all time. Grab some popcorn and let's dive in.
ChubbierSnail, ooh.
My journey started when I was a young high schooler, living in my parents' house and making videos from their basement. I was obsessed with this game called Halo, and to be super clear, I was doing YouTube just for the love of the game. I mean, I made about 2 years worth of Halo videos, and none of them got any views. I was not successful at all. Well, technically there was one exception, actually. And guys, don't freak out. But in my early days, I actually invented the Minecraft movie, way before Jack Black did. Like, for some random reason, I got my cousin and brother to dress up as Minecraft characters. We went to my backyard and, I don't know. I don't know what I was doing. But clearly I was ahead of my time, because that one video was my only success and it got 1.1 million views. I still have no idea how. It's the only old video of mine that I still have public on my channel. And it's also crazy to say, but that's still my most viewed video of all time, at least for a little while longer. But despite my infinite wealth that I earned from that video and my massive library of flopped videos, high school was wrapping up for me and I had to start thinking about my future. And so when I graduated high school and went to college, I quit video games and YouTube entirely. There was a point in my life where I decided to focus on school and getting good grades. I have no regrets about this. But yeah, I went to university for 4 years, graduated with a degree in finance, and then I got this corporate job in something called actuarial science. Try saying that 5 times fast. Actuarial science, actuarial science, actuarial science, Look, and I'll be honest with you guys, I was kind of locked into that Sigma male grind set lifestyle. I almost never thought about YouTube. I was done playing video games. And honestly, it kind of seemed like that was it. I had graduated childhood and achieved peak unk. And I think that would have been the whole story of my journey, if not for one strange thing that happened in 2020. Do you guys happen to remember that one time when the whole world shut down for like 5 years? COVID-19, yes, that's what it was called. When the pandemic started, the company I worked for was like, you gotta go, shoot, go work from home, get out of here. And this also happened to be the exact same time I moved out of my parents' house and into my first apartment. It was this tiny little studio flat. It was kind of like living in a closet, but a little smaller. But it was my first place, and gosh darn it, I was proud of it. I was now living on my own, I had extra time in my day because I was working from home, and the entire outside world was shut down. What was I gonna do with all my newfound time? If only there was a hobby where you could hang out and connect with people without being physically in person. You guys picking up what I'm putting down? Say it with me on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Bird watching. I'm just kidding, obviously. I decided to start playing video games and YouTube again in the big 2020. I felt like one of those unks that was like, we're getting the band back together. Except since I had no friends, I was the only person in the band. But hey, let's not talk about that. Now, I hadn't bought a new gaming console in like 8 years. Yikes. So when I looked up what was cool and trending, the internet told me that it was the Oculus Quest 2. So I got myself a headset, looked for some free games to play, and that's when I discovered this game called Rec Room. Like I mentioned before, I used to play a lot of Halo. I guess I had an obsession with shooting things. It's probably a little concerning. And so when I saw Rec Room's paintball, I was just like, Eureka! It was probably something more like, this is cool, let's play. Epic poggers. So I tried the game out, made my first video, and after I pressed upload, it got 30 views. And I remember just sitting there, staring at those 30 views and being like, dang, that's quadruple what I used to get. So I kept making content, and after a few months, I was averaging about 100 views a video. A few more months went by, and I got my first 1,000 view video, which was sick. My channel was starting to grow, and I was really making a name for myself in the Rec Room community. As I kept gaining subscribers, Rec Room started sending me free stuff. They invited me to speak at official company events. And there was even this one year where they hosted an award show, and I was nominated as the Rec Room Content Creator of the Year. I didn't win the award, but I was one of 5 finalists, so, you know, not bad. It's not bad. I wasn't like a big deal on YouTube, but I was a notable creator in a tiny community, and that felt good. Everything seemed like it was going fine until one day when something suddenly changed everything. I was walking out the door of my tiny apartment when I noticed a tiny piece of paper fall to the ground. I had no idea what this paper could be, but deep down it made me feel nervous. And when I finally picked it up and looked inside, my stomach dropped. This piece of paper was a noise complaint from one of my neighbors, saying that they had been hearing me shouting in my room for months and that they were finally done putting up with it. And in my neighbor's defense, I do get pretty loud when making videos. I just never realized that people could hear me through the walls. But at this point, I realized I had some decisions to make. The pandemic was wrapping up, my neighbors were begging me to stop making content, and the world overall was returning back to normal. But was I ready to return back to normal? To put down video games and YouTube to return to my normal life? Frick no. I don't know why I just spat on that. That's gross. I was having so much fun with YouTube, there was no chance I could quit now. But in that moment, I did realize that if I was gonna try and follow my dreams of being a professional YouTuber, I needed to start taking things more seriously. And so this marks the moment when I made some bold and debatably irresponsible decisions. Decision number one was that I needed to move out of my apartment. Unless I wanted my neighbors calling the police on me, I needed to find a new environment that I could record content without bothering people. And so me and two of my friends, including Minecraft Steve, decided to rent out a house together. It was old. It was falling apart. But at least I could record content in peace. Decision number two was that I needed to move on from Rec Room. Rec Room will always be my first VR love, but the fact of the matter is that I kind of hit my ceiling with that game. The game was clearly dying. I was getting at max like 10,000 views a video, and if I wanted to make YouTube a permanent sustainable job, I needed to find a game that more people cared about. And decision number three, and this was the craziest one of all, was that I kind of sort of, I quit my job. And that one's sort of a head scratcher because let me be clear, at this point in time, my channel was not making any money. And I just moved myself from an apartment into a full house. It's expensive. This is not financial advice. Don't do any of this. As dumb as this all sounded though, I swear I did have a plan. During all the years I had been working my boring corporate job, I had been secretly saving some money. And according to my calculations, it was enough money to survive exactly 12 months unemployed. And so my grand scheme was that if I quit my job and focused all my extra time into growing YouTube, I should hopefully be able to figure out how to make it profitable. And if somehow I failed for 12 months straight and completely ran out of money, I would quit YouTube and then go back to a normal job. But at least if I failed, I could say I failed while daring greatly. I could hold my head high while knowing that I tried my best. So I packed my bags, moved into the new house, and I got 10 billion views and lived happily ever after. The end. No, but in reality, things actually went pretty horribly wrong. About as bad as they possibly could have. I tried to dip my toes into a few new VR games, but everything I touched flopped. I then panicked and tried to go back to Rec Room content, but that game was so dead that those videos were flopping too. My grand plan was that I'd have more time for YouTube and therefore I'd be getting more views. But in reality, my viewership was just tanking at the worst time possible. Days became weeks, weeks became months, and my survival money was rapidly bleeding. And after 10 months, in February of 2025, I was kind of on financial life support. It was at a point where I had basically given up and determined that I need to start applying for normal jobs again. You know, the fun was almost over. But that's when I decided to take one final shot on this small up-and-coming game called Animal Company. And for the first time in an entire year of failure, my luck finally turned around. The first Animal Company video that I uploaded got over 100,000 views in the first week. It instantly became my most popular video of all time. Other than Minecraft in real life, but you know. I knew we had something special here. I made a few more videos, they all did pretty well, and it wasn't long before we accomplished something I never thought was possible. Within our first month of uploading Animal Company content, the channel had hit 100,000 subscribers. Look at my little baby, look at him. So good, look at you go. Seeing all the success fueled me, and that's when things started to really hit me. There were plenty of talented Animal Company creators in the space, many of whom were much larger than me. But I had a vision. While every other creator was focused on producing quick daily content, I decided to go in the exact opposite direction, to focus all my time and energy on making the most ambitious, highest production quality Animal Company content out there. And while this meant I could only produce about one video a week, it let me produce videos on impossible challenges, heavily researched topics, videos with professional animators, and I even did things like produce an original Animal Company song, which by the way, is responsible for the most viewed Animal Company short of all time. So yeah, we hit 100,000 subscribers this year, but we also went on to hit 200,000 and then even 300,000 subs. And so by dedicating my entire 2025 to this game, we became the largest channel for what I believe to be the fastest growing VR game of all time. But the cherry on top of this entire journey is that Animal Company noticed our amazing community and decided to add us permanently into their game. It was just like They added this new quest called Snailed It, which, like, you know, my channel has snails in it. They then added the first ever pet item, which is this cool little wiggly snail. He's in our channel's official colors, and he even has the crown cosmetic on. And last but not least, they even made it so you could wear him on your head. Look at him wiggle. Go, little guy. But despite everything I said, here's the actual craziest thing of them all. Some of you might have noticed that my background has recently changed. I'm not in my old apartment. I'm not in the house we rented out. So where the heck am I?
Well, funny enough, I've actually temporarily moved back in with my parents as I plot the next big part of my adventure. But this is really exciting because it means I'm actually in the exact same basement where my entire channel started. Look at this! Nothing's changed!
And even though this YouTube journey has returned to the exact same spot I started, it's wild to say, but I really think this is just the beginning. Big things are coming, and I've never been more excited about the future. And so from the bottom of my heart, thank you Snailers for watching, and remember, stay chubby. Grrrah!
Here I am, 24 years old, moved out of the house for the first time.
Can I get a
But it doesn't really sit with me quite right.
I need you to be honest here. Do I look tough?
It gets absolutely dark and scary.
So this is my rec room avatar.
That's so scary to run. I hate it.
And then he knocked me out cold.
We came! We saw! We conquered!
Wait, this is sick. Oh my God.
My items and my gold. But first I'll grab a flashlight in my hand to help see where I go. And
Everyone
every monkey's
announcing
telling
the Rec
me that I'm
SMP!
doing
Woo,
so
yeah!
well. But I still need to ask for advice on what items to sell.
Today I'm gonna show you how the first myth is that you can.
I'm the first ever recognized.
I want to look cool in a crowd. It's fine, I'll figure it all out. I tend to forget. We did it! In a way, my adventure has only just begun. I've got time.
Look at you go, little buddy, he's on my head.
I've got time.